Hi guys, hi ladies. Yes, I'm doing this in the women group. I'm trying to find my headphones here so we can get started. Uh, so trying to invite a few friends who are in the group. Alright, let me make sure I'm putting the event page too. So how's everyone going? So as you come in, please say hello so I know you're in the room. Oh, let me fix the sound here because I can't hear myself. I think that's better. All right, and I'm doing this again. This will be, I guess, an announcement for those who will be doing this later. Will be watching this later on a different platform because I'm doing it here in the Facebook group for women who are achieving mental and emotional wellness. But as always, we'll share this out and post it on my other platforms like on YouTube and the website. So if you're seeing this and you hear me just talking about ladies, it's because this is originally being done or presented to a group of women. But for those of you who are new to me, I'm Shula Allegra. I'm the founder of Grace and Hope Consulting. I am I do too many things, I guess, but I am a mom. That's the hat that I wear all the time, every day, every minute. But I'm also a certified counselor. I have a few certifications in the mental health field, both in trauma, Christian counseling, group therapy, that kind of good stuff. I'm a certified life coach, and I'm also an author and a speaker. So I am going to here. We did post in this group that we'll be doing. I have a sitter. Life happens around here. um. Anyway, so we posted in this group. This was the webinar for this month. Well, I think it was for last month, and we had scheduled picked the topic last month and then scheduled for the beginning of this month, and we're talking about people pleasing. So I'm hopping on here to talk about why people engage in people pleasing, or why it's sometimes the easy way out, and then the price we pay when we actually do get stuck in pleasing others and being a people pleaser. I'm also going to share some strategies that you can implement right away in the moment that will help you kind of gain control, regain control. And since I'm always, focused on long term, and I also want to offer some solutions for long term, because you can have the strategies to apply in the moment, but in long term, how do you actually get yourself out of that? How do you change that kind of a lifestyle, if you want to call it that way, and be more happy, be happier and more stable, and in your choices of how you interact with others and all that good stuff. So to recap, we're going to talk about why people pleasing, what the price that we pay when we do become a people pleaser, strategies you can use in the moment, and solutions for long term. So let me share this. I was going to share in the event page that we have for this topic. Give me 1 second. And for those of you who should be watching this now or later, I just want to also encourage you to share this out with others, because I'm sure, just like for me, I'm sure there's many people who will benefit from this. So the more you share, the better it is for everyone, right? Because you're helping others also achieve mental and emotional wellness. Don't keep the goodies to yourself. That's what I often say. So anyway, watching this now. There, we're live. I was going to check to make sure that we're live on the computer as on the phone as well. So we're there. So let's hit it. I know it's a Thursday evening. Most of us have lives, right? All of us have lives, and most of us have a lot of things to do this time of the day. So why do people engage in people pleasing? Why do people kind of become people pleaser, or why do they get caught in that rut of people pleasing? Here, just again, just are just a few suggestions, a few answers out of many possibilities that I think it kind of narrows down to these. I think like five that I jot down here that I want to share with you. So often people start pleasing other, become people pleasers because they want everyone to be happy. They don't want to deal with confrontation, right? That's the second one. They don't want to disappoint others. They also don't want to feel rejected by others. Because what happened is not just the kind of that fear of disappointing. It's like, well, what's kind of the outcome when we do disappoint others? Sometimes people no longer like us. People don't accept us as they used to do, or people become rude towards us, and people isolate from us, like all the things that could happen. And sometimes people feel it's just an easier way out to just please them, to make everybody happy. And sometimes it's also that fear of retaliation, because they don't like confrontation. If they don't do what the person wants, if they don't please this person's going to get mad and get angry, and it's going to be all this, they're going to be retaliate against them. So to kind of avoid that retaliation, it's easier to just give in. It's easy to just do what everybody wants, so everybody's happy, and people think that they're keeping the peace. And that's, I'm going to switch gear here into the price that we pay. So these are all the reasons that why people engage in people pleasing, like we said. But then they often do it thinking that it's to keep the peace, right, to make everyone happy. But is it really lasting peace, or is it like an illusion of a peace? Because often when we become a people pleaser, or when we're pleasing others at all cost, what happens is we get frustrated with ourselves, because it's not something we want to do. So we're agreeing to do things that we don't want to do. Then we get frustrated with ourselves because we are dealing with this, and then we become, there's a lot of discontent there. You're not happy with doing that thing, right? Whatever it is that you're helping with, whatever it is that you saying yes to, you become, that discontent is often lead to people like doing things and grumbling, right? It's like, I don't like doing this, but I'm just going to do it. Or they'll say yes in front of the person, saying, yeah, I'll do it. Okay, I'll be there. I'll show up. I'll do X, Y, and Z. I'll finish that project, or whatever it is that, you tend to, say yes to, and, kind of please everyone. Then as soon as they're away from that person, they're like, sometimes people will cry. Why did I do this? I can't believe I did this. It's like all the emotions and just kind of floods, it's like, and the overwhelm of these emotions. That's what happened. The cost of people pleasing is that frustration, that discontent, that feeling of being overwhelmed, and this constant stress of having to keep everyone happy. And I remember once, well back, maybe a couple of years ago, I saw this meme on Facebook. I think it was Toby Mac who put it. He's like, "Stop trying to please everyone. You are not chocolate." That being said, it's like there's no human on this earth that can be all to all. This is just impossible. You are not God. So as much as you're trying to please others, to keep the peace, to make them happy, we are not responsible for people's happiness. I'll say it again. You are not responsible for everyone's happiness, because we have to kind of know, not only just our limits, but we have to kind of know what a healthy way of doing life, what a healthy way of doing relationship, or a healthy way. And that, when I say relationship, I'm not just talking about romantic relationship. I'm talking about all relationship with all people, your family, your friends, your coworker, your neighbors, people at church. All those things, all those people, like, all those areas of our life, people that we connect with. um, yeah, doing if you want to have healthy relationship with people, people pleasing is not the way to go, because it's not lasting. It's an illusion of peace, because and then people can sense it when you're not doing it. Sometimes maybe they don't even care that you're getting frustrated by doing it. For them, you're just getting the thing done, whatever needs to be get done. But for yourself, what does it do to your own mental and emotional wellness? It doesn't help you. You don't want to live your life huffing and puffing every time because you're doing things that you don't want to do, because people are using your time, like, you're spending your time in things that you are not interested in, and you feel like you're living, or constantly living your life. You're living over people's lives, not your own. That's the price of people pleasing. So all the things I mentioned, the frustration, the discontent, the overwhelm, the stress, are all real things. But at the end of it, we literally living someone else's life and not your own. And that's not what you want. And that's not what I want for you. And that is not healthy. It's not a way to achieve mental and emotional wellness. Definitely not. It's totally the opposite of it. Yes, we all want to have to be caring, to be loving, to be supportive to the people that matter to us. There's nothing wrong with that. And yes, there's going to be time where we're all going to do things that we don't want to do. But that's when you have to think about those strategies. So we're going to get into those strategies and see when it's actually important to do those things. It's not all the time, right? I often say yes, kind of draw the line to doing things that the person needs you to do because they cannot do it for themselves. And sometimes because it might be something they've done before on their own. Let's say the I don't know, forget an example. For a very good example, I love to do, well, I don't like to do. I don't like to do laundry. I do laundry because that's the only way you get clean clothes over than shopping all the time. Since I don't have money to be throwing at the store and buying clothes every single day of my life, I have to do laundry. That's just a fact of life, right? So in normal time, in usual time, when all is well, I can manage my own laundry. I can manage my kids' laundry. But I remember when my youngest was just born and it was in and out the hospital. I was spending more time in the hospital than at home. Although that was something that I could have done on my own, but it became one more thing I needed to do when I was already physically and emotionally depleted. And so a lady from our church offered to do a laundry because she loved the country. She loved to do laundry. That's just, she loves that, loves to do that. So she had offered to help with laundry. Um, she'll come to a house and pick up laundry and bring it back Sunday at church, and we could start doing this exchange, Sunday laundry exchange. Like I bring the dirty laundry on Sunday at church, and she brings the clean one. And some Sundays when we didn't even make it to church, she'll swing by our house and pick it up. Sometimes even when I was not home. Um, that's just the kind of person she was. So she was doing something, although it was something that I could have done for myself, but at that time that became a burden. So she's helping carry my burden, and not enabling me because it's something I knew how to do. I can do it, but at that moment, it was something that was taxing on me, on my family, because of all the things we're dealing with. So she offered to do that. So she wasn't doing it because she wanted to please me and make me happy. She was doing it because she wanted to serve. You see the difference? So she was, she offered to do it first. No, that's the one thing. She had offered to do it. And she continued to do it because she wanted to do it, not because if she had said no, if she stopped doing it, then I will be mad at her or not like her or whatever, all the over reason people become people pleaser. That was not it. So when you are saying yes to something, you want to make sure that you are saying yes to things that you want to do that matter to you, things that even when you're serving, things that you're doing out of service, but you don't want to serve from an empty cup. If you are already depleted, you're already, like you yourself need someone to pour into you. Don't just add one more thing onto your to-do list because that's going to keep the peace. That's not a way to live. And that's kind of what I'm drilling this down because I want you to really get this. And it comes down to this: you have a choice. Yes, my friend, you have a choice. So now we're going to look into the strategies. So one of the ways to stop people pleasing is to remember that you do have a choice. You have a choice to say no. You have a choice to do whatever it is that people want you to do, expect you to do, wish you would have done. You have a choice, and always remember that the choice is yours is really important. And then even when the choice is yours, then knowing you're doing something out of your own heart, not out of someone's expectation. And then so that's the first strategy. Remember that you have a choice. Do it. Second one, do it out of your own heart. Whether you're serving and doing something extra, do it because you want to do it, not because somebody expects you to do it. And then set your priorities. Even when there's a lot of things we can do for people, 20 million of them, whatever the number is, we can't do all of those things at the same time. It's just not feasible. I do a lot of things well. There are a lot of things that I don't do well. And even the things that I do well, if I try to do them all the time, I'm going to run myself down. I'm no superwoman. I have a lot of superpowers, and just like you do, you have a lot of skills and talents and things that you bring to the table that make you who you are. But you have to have priorities. What I often ask myself I was taking an example when people ask me about writing. You know, my email usually, like, it's my email, my messenger on Facebook. People are like, well, we're working on this project. Can we want you to be part of it. One, it's nice that they see me as a good author and they want me to be uh, part of this book and this project. But I can't say yes to every project that comes to me. And I know there is a cost to saying no. And if people know, and I have to get to problem, I have a choice. I say yes to my priorities. Like, what am I doing right now? What am I working on right now? And it goes back to, knowing, again, setting your own priorities in life in general. And then that's how I do it. And then everything that aligns with that are the things that I'm doing. And no matter what your faith background is, I'll share what I do, because for me, when I don't follow my priorities, if I don't prioritize my life, I feel out of alignment with what God is doing in my life. And it's not a good feeling. If you've ever been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not a good feeling. I feel like you're in the rut, like you pushing, uphill when things supposed to go smoothly. Yes, they're gonna be, things that are gonna be hard in life, even when you're doing exactly what you need to do. Yeah, they're gonna be challenges always. But you kind of go through them with a sense of peace, because you know you're doing what you're supposed to do, not because you're doing 20 million things that somebody else expects you to do, and you are afraid to say no because they're not going to like you, because they're going to reject you, because they're going to get mad, all of those things. So set your priorities in life in general. Set the priorities for this session, for this season, sorry, of your life. And sometimes, recently I was talking to a friend, how I had all these things planned out, speaking engagement and all this, book project and things that I wanted to work on. Eventually I need to work on those things, but the timeline was not as strict as I was putting on myself. But for that season of my life, like, that's what I set as my priorities, like those things I wanted to focus on. And then my family went through, are still going through a lot of things, and it was one hit after another. We have issues where we have to find now. Right now, we have to find a place to live. We have, had kids who were sick. Like, literally, it was one week where all three kids were sick, one after another, and I had to cancel major speaking engagements, where, like, boku money, honestly, money that that would have paid my rent for the month. And yeah, and it's like I had all these things planned up, and then when my family needed me, my family always comes first. So for me, it was a priority. And I was not going to, you know, I was not going to be there for my family just because I had these things happening, these things that I had planned, right? So there are going to be times where you need to adjust your expectation for yourself, adjust those priorities for yourself. But you have to remember what you stand for, what's important to you, so that when other people come and bring their stuff to you, and present their things to you, you don't have to say yes to all of them. Otherwise, honestly, you're going to be all over the place at all time. And the price that you pay for that, like I said, it's that constant stress. That is not healthy for you. Not healthy. You won't even know who you are. I remember once the lady was telling me, I'm so used to saying yes to everybody, I don't even know what I want anymore out of life. And that's not a good place to be. Not a good place to be. Another strategy to combat people pleasing is to stall, literally. And I remember when I was trying to find a word for it. I'm like, it's just kind of that kind of like when you're in the moment and somebody's, asking you to do something or want you to do something, you're like, if I don't do this, they're gonna be mad, and you're like, I don't know what to say. It's okay to stall, literally, like stall, stall. Like, talk about something else. Ask for more time. It's okay to say, hey, can I get back to you? It's okay to say, wait a minute, oh, I'm gonna call you back. I'll call you. I'll let you know later. I'll text you. Oh, I have something else going right now where I can't give you an answer right now. It is okay to stall until you figure it out. I think sometimes we think that we have to answer to everyone at the exact same moment where they make a request. Because again, if I don't answer them, they're gonna be mad at me. If I don't answer them, they're gonna keep texting me. Who cares if they text you 20 million times, right? Because if you set your priorities and you prioritize your time and your space, then those are the boundaries you need to set for yourself. And once you have that set, it doesn't matter what who or what is trying to impede on that, because you know what you stand on. And honestly, I think it's Dr. Seuss that said, "Do say what you say and do what you want, because those who care, no, those who matter don't care, and those who care don't matter." So the people who love you, just like when I say no to, hi Jenny, hi Kathy, hi Bonnie, hi Harriet. So just like when I say no to speaking engagements, or I say no to writing no, book projects this past week, last week. I knew that they're going to be limited people who are new to me, who or people who are just trying to connect to me because of my skill and wanting that to add that value to the book. Those people might just fall by the wayside. Right? They might not be there next time something come, and that's okay, because I know the people who truly value me and want that long-term partnership with me are still going to come back, and they're still going to be there when when the new project come out. They're going to come and reach out to me again. And I know I don't have to please everyone, because honestly, like I said, Tony Mac said, you're not chocolate. You can never, never, never please everyone. That's just impossible. You see, as soon as you start pleasing Sue, Jackie's gonna be mad. And then when you please Jackie, I don't know, Denise gonna be mad. It's like it doesn't matter, or Paul or John or whoever, Mike. It's like you cannot please everyone. So you spend all your energy trying to do things, in according to what someone expects of you. You are draining yourself, not them. Because even the people that I said no to, I'm sure they're gonna find somebody else to do it. As I'm thankful and grateful that God put those skills in me, but I also know that I'm not indispensable. Literally, like I can be replaced, but I need to stay in my lane. So if I say no to something, God will provide somebody else for them to do, somebody to do that thing. And I was even talking to actually a minister today, and how there's all these little things happening in the family, and there's a lot of things happening in the church, and just feel like the weight of ministry was literally weighing on this, waiting on this person. And so my first question, my question was, well, what else can you delegate? What can you give up? So that you can free yourself and spend time with your family, and you don't have to feel this weight. And then after I said that, I realized sometimes we get so comfortable in our roles. People expect us to to perform a certain way, and whether it's in ministry, whether it's at home, whether it's your in your business, like people have expectation, and like each role brings expectation, and I get that. But don't become a slave to the expectation of others, because that's what people pleasing is. You become a slave to expectation of others, and that's not a way to live. So it's okay to stall people. If you don't know what to say in the moment, literally find an escape. I need to go to the bathroom. I even tell this to the teens when I teach the anxiety program. It's called Worry Be Gone. It's a 5-week program that we go through, work through strategies to overcome anxiety. And one of the strategy I tell them, I say, well, in the moment, if you cannot think of anything else, any skill, any coping skill to use, ask to go to the bathroom. Because guess what? Everyone goes to the bathroom, right? So if you ask them to go to the bathroom, nobody knows why you're going to the bathroom. But give yourself time to examine all of this. Because if the first answer in your mouth is yes to everything, that means you're saying no to something else that's important to you. I say it again. Every time you say yes to something, to one thing, you're saying no to something else. So you want to make sure that your yes is yes, right? That you're saying yes to the things that you want to say yes to. And so that those things that you're saying yes to are now pulling you away from the priorities that you have for your life, and pulling you away from what it is that God is doing in your life in this season. That's why you have to set those priorities ahead of time and know what you're doing, what's going on in your life in the moment. Kind of building that sense of self. I think a lot of us don't have that. And when you don't have the sense of self, literally you have no foundation. You go crumbling. But that's a topic for another day. So you also want to, also the other things, to set those limits. So even when you say yes to something, because sometimes you can say yes, well, I think I can. You check your calendar, you talk to your family. Yeah, I can volunteer and go help a friend move. Let's, I don't know, Sunday at 2 or something, right? And you already know, you said you're going to be there at 2, but maybe you didn't tell the person that you only had 2 hours or 3 hours. So when you get there, it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. The person's expecting you to be there, and then you feel like, oh, now I feel really awkward by telling them I have to go. They still need help. That's the time you have to set the limits beforehand. So when you're saying yes to something, make sure that you set those limits. Okay, I'm going to help you do this. I'm only doing for 2 hours. I'm only available for 2 hours. And let's say after 2 hours, you say like, oh, they're almost done, and you do have some time to spend extra. It's okay. It's better to say yes and do the part that you committed to, and then afterward give them a bonus than it is to say no, to say yes to everything, and then you can't finish it. So be really mindful of that. And then remember that it is worth it. It's worth it. Saying no to people is worth it. Because like I said, you're always saying, when you're saying yes to someone or something, you're saying no to other stuff. So if it goes in reverse as well. If you say no to someone, that's because hopefully you're saying yes to something else. Sometimes it's saying yes to yourself, saying yes to your family, saying yes to more time alone, saying yes to self-care. Saying no is part of self-care. And people pleasing is the opposite of that. Okay. And also, I want another strategy is to remember that you don't have to explain yourself. Sometimes we feel like, if we say no to someone because we don't want the person to get mad, we don't want them to think, less of us, we go into this long tangent, like, pretty much, disputing, I don't know, a legal issue here. Like you go into this tangent, explaining yourself over and over again about this thing when it's not needed. It's not necessary. Again, those who matter, the people who matter, will still going to love you and appreciate you even when you say no. They know that all of us have limits. Even if it's something that you're really good at, you can't do it all the time. You need to take care of yourself. And then the last thing here, I'm going to say it's practice, practice, practice. Because sometimes people say, well, I don't like saying no. Because again, back to the reason, the why, people become people pleaser because they're trying to avoid confrontation. And they feel like, well, if I say no, they're going to say, why'd you say no? You don't want to help me. You're blah, 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 fill in the blank. And so they don't always know how to combat that. Like, what do I say after somebody literally confronts me from setting that boundary for myself? That's when practice is really important. If we have no one to practice with, it's okay to practice in front of the mirror. I remember working with a woman who and she was self-acclaimed a people pleaser. And what we did was practicing just saying no. And we went through all of this, setting her priorities, know what was important to her, how much time she has for whatever it is she was committing to. But then when it came to verbalize it, it was still hard for her. I mean, many of us have now learned to be assertive for many reasons, but with her, what we did was practicing going in the mirror, practicing all the ways that she could say no. The first one is like, well, you just say blank, no, go straight forward, shoot forward and say no. But then there's also, I can't do it right now. I'm busy right now. I'll get back to you. Let me look at my calendar. Let me check with my family. I don't think there's something I can do. Maybe somebody else can help you. How can I find somebody else that can help you? Have you tried doing it this yourself? Have you tried calling for help? I've been counting. That was literally 11 ways that I just said no right now. So if you take away the first word that I used was no, so that was 10 other ways of saying no. And I did it within less than a minute. So practice that. And some of the things that I also do with people in sessions, sometimes it's sitting down with them and then doing this role play. Like we thinking about, okay, when are you what are those situations where you most feel like you have to please others? And we kind of practice what the situation is. We kind of recreate that situation, and I pretend to be the person who they're trying to please. I will say and do what that person does in their real life, and then have my client, the person I'm supporting, practice what they will say. It helps because especially if you feel like sometimes people's requests take you off guard, catches you off guard, and you're not sure what to do, what to say. It's good to practice so that you are prepared for when a request come and you're like, oh, I don't want to people please, but what do I do now? Practice. All right, so there was a few strategies there. So like I said, remember, you have a choice. Set some priorities, stall if you have to, set limits and boundaries. Remember that it's worth it. And don't remember also, you don't need to explain yourself, and then practice. So now I'm going to close here with some what I think are more like long-term solutions, because those strategies are things you do in the moment. And then of course, if you do, the more you do it, the more they become second nature, and the more it's easier for you to apply those. But I think long term, you have to think about what I think about two things when it comes to people pleasing. Like, I love, because most of you who follow me know that I'm a certified trauma professional. So I look at things from the root. Where did this, start? What, how do we get there? How do we get to this, area or this time in your life where you start pleasing people? Like, it must have started somewhere. And sometimes it starts with a false sense of self. And that's what I was saying earlier. If you don't have a good sense of self, what we call it, in mental health and psychology, the self construct, you have no foundation. You don't know who you are, what you stand for, um, what you're all about, and it's like then everyone can pretty much walk all over you. They can ask you, they can make you do or say whatever they want because you don't know who you are. And for those of our Christian, yes, identity in Christ is for first and foremost. That's at the core who we are. But what I'm talking about here is like your own personality, your own desires, your own goals, your own aspiration. A lot of us have lost that. And some of the time we lose that in the roles that we have. We start becoming our roles. We still know whether it's being a mom, or it's being a counselor, or it's being an author, or it's being a pastor, whatever those roles are. Sometimes we become our roles, and yes, what we do is important, and it makes a difference. I get all that, but your role is only a part of you. Your role should not be your identity. I'll say that again. Your role, the role that you have, the hats that you put on, should be a part of your should be something you do, but it's not your identity. So you have to build no long-term solution for stopping people pleasing forever. Like stop it now and not being sucked up into it again. It's really building that sense of self, knowing who you are. You have to build that, and it takes a lot of work, but it's so worth it. And if you don't know where to start, let me know. I have a few resources I can share with you. But also sometimes even reading a resource, it's if you try that, it doesn't well, but it helps to have somebody to walk with you on this journey. The other thing is working through your fears. Like I said, when I shared all the whys and all the reason why people engage in people pleasing, this lighting is a little off, but see, it go in and out. Sometimes I'm orange, sometimes I'm my regular color. But anyway, um, so when I shared the whys, all the reason why people engage in people pleasing, if you remember, there were all our fears there. Fears of disappointing others, fears of being rejected, fears of confrontation. So long-term solution, in addition to building the sense of self, is to work through your fears. Really pinpointing why do you have those fears, when did they started, why how they're impacting you, and then start working your way back. And that, I'm sorry to say that's just the trauma therapist in me, because I'm like, things don't just happen. There's always a root cause. And you cannot change the future if you don't address the root cause at first. Otherwise, you're just putting bandages on the issue. So there you have it. That's all I have for today. I'm going to let you guys go. I have another session here in a few minutes, but also then after that, I have to get my kids ready for bed. So remember that you have a choice. Remember that when you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And be careful not to say no to the things that matter to you. Instead, say no to other stuff so that you can say yes to the things that matter, like your family, your calling, and whatever it is all else that you have going on in your life. And build that sense of self. Knowing who you are at the core, what you stand for, helps you pretty much. It's not just now people pleasing, but really helps you not to care about what people think. Because if you look at it too, at the root of people pleasing, it's like, well, what people are going to say, what people are going to think, because all all the anxiety about how people perceive you, start generating all that fear. Okay. And so I hope this helps. And if you need more help, you know where to find me, graceandhopeconsulting.com. And I will share, I just thought about this. Let me share with you guys. If you are follow me on Facebook, you might have seen this on my main page, the Grace and Hope Consulting page. But there is, for those of us who struggle with worries and fears, I just uploaded little short ebook with strategies where fear comes from, how to overcome them, and then so I'm going to push that here. If that's something that you're struggling with and you want to start working through those fears, so to kind of achieve that long-term solution. So that's there. There. I think I pinned it. Okay. And then if you or need to work on that sense of self as well, I haven't uploaded that resource yet, but I'll finish it up. I can upload or just ask me even before I upload it, I can probably send it to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen who'll be watching this later. That's it for now. Peace out.